Honestly, I don't hate the Brox. Okay, fighting energy and fairy going to the discard pile. I wonder if they have an answer for Cornerstone. We see the Cornerstone is getting lined up here, but we just discarded the fighting energy, which is kind of weird, to be honest. Or did they play an answer for the Cornerstone is the question, of course. Ultra Ball for the Fan Rotom makes sense, unless you want to turn the Ditto into the Fan Rotom. But the Ditto has to be... No, the Ditto has to become the... No, I guess you could Ultra Ball for a Terra Pokemon, and then Ditto could become Fan Rotom. But you probably want to turn the Ditto into the Terra Pokemon. Yeah, you probably want to turn Ditto into Terra Pokemon, and then Ultra Ball for the Fan Rotom. And you Fan Rotom for double Hoot plus Noctowl. So pretty good turn one here, to be honest. For the Terra Box side of things. Not bad at all. You only need one Noctowl to grab any of your basics. Yeah, I kind of like that, because like a lot of times you'll go like Noctowl for Nest Ball, and it's just like so low value. But Noctowl for Brox to get 2 basics? I mean, obviously you're not playing Crispin that turn or something, but... Obviously you're not playing Crispin or something else that turn, but... Now the question just becomes, what do they grab off this Ditto? They could grab the Water Pawn. I mean, or you could just get right into the Cornerstone. The Reshiram's in the active, so you know it's Zorark. And then the question comes down to... question kind of comes down to, do they even play an answer for the Cornerstone? Because you could just try and solo Cornerstone this whole game here. Those are the Terapagos, actually. Interesting. They just want to get aggressive here and KO the Reshiram turn 2, maybe. Just take the knockout. The Water Pawn that is prized. Oh, true, there is the Water Pawn prize. I just kind of assumed they played 2. Maybe they go down to 1 now because of Shaman in the format. So that is true. The Water Pawn was prized. Maybe it is just one Water Pawn now. Isn't Cornerstone still better than a Terapagos? Why wouldn't you still get Cornerstone here? Because Cornerstone KOs Reshiram, and then it's Cornerstone and not a Terapagos, right? This is just trolling, right? I'm struggling to see why you would ever have Terapagos here. Why you'd ever grab Terapagos here instead of Cornerstone. I'm struggling. Maybe they didn't want to give up that they played Cornerstone. They already gave that up when they discarded their fighting energy with the Ultra Ball. Yeah, they already leaked that when they discarded the fighting energy. Oh, double Zorua pass. Not super powerful. There's the Brox in hand. I mean, Brox knockout active here is pretty good. You're kind of just chilling. Could be for Koraidon. Should probably have gone into Wellspring. Well, there is a Wellspring prized. Okay, now we're seeing the Cornerstone get put into play here through the Brox. But why is the active not just... I guess like the reason is to... I guess the reason is because you want to be aggressive with Terapagos, and you couldn't have set up a turn 2. But you could have set up a turn 2 Ogerpon. You should have been able to play the Brox, I guess. Maybe it's not terrible. It feels a little off. It does feel a little bit off to not get the Cornerstone more aggressively, but... Cornerstone and Monkey Dory making their ways to the bench, and then I guess attach turn to the active and knockout. Noctowl in hand for the next turn. Boom, goodbye Reshiram. Here comes Zorua. What was the reaction there from the player on the right? Did they seem super off for the Reshiram? Did they seem annoyed by the by the Cornerstone bench? I feel like I saw them react, but I couldn't tell. Let's go back a little bit. I actually want to see what their reaction was when the Cornerstone got grabbed here. No, they didn't really react. I assume we're still shuffling up for Super out here. Recovering the Reshiram. Nothing too crazy prize. There's a Zorua and a counter catcher. On the other side, though, the Crystal and the Water Pawn are pretty big prizes, to be honest. And there's a research. Losing a boss's orders. 7 new cards here. Also playing the maximum belt, so they can KO the active here if they can find the... Wait. No, they can't, right? Terapagos has 230, right? So they're still going to come up 10 short for the KO on the active here, actually. I see a Monkey Dory in the hand. Your reversal energy. I mean, that's one of their ways to hit the Ogerpon is you can hit it with our Manatan plus reversal. Not super efficient though. Can Zorark threaten Cornerstone at all? Not really. Like Darmanitan can punch it. Darmanitan can punch it. I mean, you could play a tech card. Like Zorark neutrally can't really deal with Cornerstone very well. But if you include tech cards, then you can deal with it. Here we see an Ultra Ball ends PP up plus the Buddy Poffin to the discard pile. And Darmanitan or Darumaka found here. Honestly, punching the active this turn is still kind of nice. Because then you set up for a Darmanitan attack next turn. You like punch it for 170, or I guess in this situation 210, and then Darmanitan, as long as the Terapagos is in the active. Or I guess you can punch with the little attack. So we're doing 100 damage, I think. All right. Still sets up for a, yeah, 140 next turn with the Darmanitan snipe. It works. Ooh, but it doesn't work if there's a Bravery Charm on the active. You can still KO with the Reshiram, of course. But you would probably prefer... I mean, you just run to Cornerstone here, though, right? Don't you? You should just definitely try and get into Cornerstone this turn. And just hide behind Cornerstone like the whole game. That's why I really don't love how they've approached this so far. Because they could have just, like, gone into Cornerstone turn 1 and, like... try to exclusively use Cornerstone until, like, you don't have to, like, set up nothing on your bench, but, like, set up very little on your bench until your opponent shows you that they have a way to deal with your Cornerstone, basically. I feel like that's what I would like to have seen. That's what I would like to have seen, for sure. Is just go into Cornerstone aggressively, wait to see if what their answer is to it. Don't set up nothing, but just like don't put a ton of 2-prizers in play. Yeah. Then see how the Zorark can approach it. See if the Zorark has a way to deal with it, I should say. But now there's a ton of prize cards in play. This Terapagos has already been punched. Researches away the Latias, actually. Wonder what we're trying to keep our bench space open for. I guess maybe Pikachu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 1 bench space left. Comes the cycle on the Ogerpon. I'm sure we're trying to find the Dark Energy, actually, probably. Or another... I mean, not benching Latias doesn't feel great. Now we're starting to build up the Cornerstone here. I mean, if you punch the active, you get knocked out. I guess you get knocked out anyways here, though. Wait, 190. Yeah, we're getting knocked out anyways. Hoot and Crispin in hand. I mean, you can retreat. You could retreat the Terapagos to the Ogerpon, I guess. Looks like they're probably going to be a little bit more aggressive here. Yeah, they're going for the punch. So they're hitting pretty hard here. In for 240 damage. And you can clean that up next turn, ideally, with the Cornerstone, I guess. But there's just a lot of prize cards on the bench here. Be able to go after. Maybe get rid of the Monkey Dory. The Hoot Hoot seemed too good. Honestly, Monkey Dory seems like the worst card on the bench right now. You do have a chance to get rid of the Pheasantipity here and remove a 2-prize Pokemon from play, though, which is maybe kind of nice, to be honest. Reversal and Defiance established, and then into the Iono. Honestly, the hand on the other side wasn't that great, so this isn't terrible for them, I don't think. Fresh 6, no Owl Out or anything like that. Also on Dango in the Champions League Miyagi format. Bringing a bunch of Pokemon for Trenchcoat Kid to target and work around Cornerstone. So this Cornerstone is just becoming irrelevant as long as the Coat Kid can guss around. Yeah, we've already seen 1 boss hit the discard pile. And the Zorark deck definitely generally plays like pretty heavy counter catcher. But of course we have the Darmanitan snipes. They can pick off Hoot Hoots, stuff like that. There's an Ultra Ball in the hand here that I see right now. And if they play maybe like Palpad, they are playing a research build, so I wouldn't be shocked to see Palpad. Ultra Ball for the Darumaka. Or Darmanitan, excuse me. Darumaka's on the bench. What if we boss up the Darumaka? Last turn instead? Did they have access to a boss? Did they use Noctowl last turn? I'm kind of tripping, to be honest. I don't remember if they used Noctowl at all or not. I would have hated a boss KO on the Darumaka for sure. I like how Trenchcoat Kid is normalized here. Bro, he's literally always makes his way onto stream in day 2, bro. He's like up there. I don't think we've ever seen him. He maybe has made Top Cut at some of the Champions League. We've never seen him play in Top Cut though on stream though. I don't think. All right, Reshiram's found here, so they do have the Reshiram KO on the active. They started by using Noctowl. So they could have gone Boss, KO, Darumaka. I don't hate that, to be honest, because punching the active is a little bit mid anyways. Let's PP up. And boom, there's the knockout with the Reshiram attack. Of course, this Zorark is, I mean, it's ready to go down. Cornerstone's push the active. The Fighting Energy, I believe, is still in the discard pile, though. Oh, if there's a Fighting Energy in the deck, we have the combo here. And if not, we're living off the Mew draw, actually, to find a play. But we have E-Switch and Vessel in hand. So there's a Fighting Energy in the deck. I'm pretty sure the energy that got discarded off the initial Ultra Ball was a Fighting Energy. But if there's a Fighting Energy in the deck, we have Cornerstone set up in hand right now. Giving up the Mew is crazy, though. Chill out. What? Aren't we living off that right now? I guess we're not living off it if we have Fighting Energy in the deck, because then we can just set up Cornerstone and start swinging. I feel like you definitely give up Nest Ball here and just hold the... Oh, no, I think the energy that was discarded early on was the Fighting. Bro, why would you discard the Fighting? If you're up against Zorark, why would you discard your Fighting Energy? That makes like 0 sense. It literally makes 0 sense to discard your Fighting off the rip like they did. And now they whiffed. They could, I mean, they can go to Ogerpon, or they can try and find a Night Stretcher to recover the Fighting by drawing with Mew. But it looks like they're just committing to the Ogerpon. I mean, if you're committing to the Ogerpon, you may as well bench the Mew at this point, I feel like, and draw some cards. Maybe not, though. That is like another 2-prizer in play that your opponent can take advantage of. If you take this knockout, though, the Darmanitan's going to come up and knock you out and knock out a Hoot Hoot. Wait, no, because we have the Defiance Band. Or, excuse me, we have the Bravery Charm, so it doesn't quite get the KO, actually. Not quite. Crystal found with the prize cards, but not the Noctowl. The Noctowl was definitely a big one. There goes Darmanitan. Yeah, we can't quite KO the active. We're close, though. I mean, if they play Jamming Tower, I doubt they play Jamming Tower, though. Here we go, draw 2. Was it going for 90-90 better than taking 2 prize cards? There's my question. I don't think so. I think probably just knocking out the Terapagos before it gets another attack off is pretty nice, to be honest. Jamming shows off Defiance. True. So we have to punch with Defiance this turn and then jamming next turn to remove the Bravery Charm value or HP boost. I doubt they even play Jamming Tower, though. The Terapagos was dead to 90-90 with Max Belt, though? No, it wasn't, because there was a Bravery Charm on the Terapagos. Yeah, they had a Bravery Charm for it, so not quite. Serendipity found, another Zorua found. We've already used our trade for turn. So we're going into the Fez draw. So why do you think people are playing Zorark and Terrabox in this format on stream with Shaman existing? Because I think a lot of people just don't play Shaman. I don't think Shaman's that popular. Thinking about the other Darumaka. So I guess we get 1 prize card this turn. We can take out a Hoot Hoot. And we get a lot of damage on the Ogerpon, which is still pretty good. I think the Zorark player is at the advantage here now at this point for sure. Yeah, I feel like the Zorark player is at the advantage at this point. Still a possibility to win on the other side. But I feel like they played it so poorly on the Terrabox side. They should have been way more aggressive with the Cornerstone. And tried to force... Because, like, yeah, for the way this game has played out... You play the Cornerstone, which is really good against Zorark, but you never forced the Zorark player to find an answer to the Cornerstone. You've just like fed them. You put a ton of a bunch of stuff that in play that's not Cornerstone, and then have just fed them multi-prize Pokemon turn after turn after turn. Here comes the cycle. We have a Dark Energy in hand as well, so we could Monkey Dory this turn. There's a Nest Ball found. We also have the Crystal in hand to work with, and the Mew still that we could use to draw some cards. We have 3 prize cards left. So where do our prize cards come from at this point? We can knock out the active with the Ogerpon, but then if we use Ogerpon here, we risk losing toward our Darmanitan Snipe. But If we can find... Ooh, okay, so we can actually pull off the attack with the Cornerstone here. But if we don't evolve our Hoot Hoot, we could lose the boss plus our Manitan attack. So I feel like we need to bench the Mew and try and find a Noctowl. So we can go Noctowl to protect the Hoot Hoot from just getting KO'd by a Darmanitan attack on the next turn. They're into the Cornerstone here. This does do enough to KO the active. They could draw with Mew here. I don't know why they're... yeah, why are they not benching Mew? Mew is the same liability as the Ogerpon. Are they hoping to find their Turo? Zorark to the active. Not that many cards left in deck. A ton of draw power on board. We got the Fez. We got the Zorark. Countercatcher is also active here. For the Zorark player. Goodbye, Zorua. For 2. See, it ends PP up. I don't see what the other card was. Can't bench it because it's Terra. Well, yeah, you bring it to the active and kill the Hoot Hoot. I never said to bench snipe the Ogerpon. That's why the Noctowl works, because the Noctowl has to be the thing on the bench. The Owl has to be the thing on the bench. Using easy 3 prizes for opponent. The Ogerpon is equal to the Mew here. They're the same thing. The Hoot Hoot is the thing that needs to be protected. Mew and Ogerpon are literally the exact same Pokemon going into the Zorark player's turn. So if we bench Mew, find Noctowl, we protect ourselves from losing to Darmanitan next turn. Mew is as much of a liability as the Ogerpon is on the bench. They say the exact same level of liability. So digging for the Noctowl just makes sense this turn to protect our bench. There's the research, which means we're digging for Countercatcher here. You can see for weakness. Dude, how much HP do you think this Ogerpon on the bench has? Dude, you guys just are not tracking. There's the dub. There's the dub. Exactly how I said it was going to happen. Y'all are failing me right now, chat. I'm not gonna lie. I'm disappointed in chat on this one. Y'all are failing me big time. Definitely some mistakes on the on the Terra box side. Some big mistakes on the Terra box side. But it was pretty clean, honestly, from the Zorark side. But honestly, that's what we have to expect out of the trench coat kid at this point. Kind of OP. I just want to go back to that first turn. Like, is there anything I missed here? No, they just discarded Fighting Energy. Like, yeah, it's like, what the heck? What are we doing here, man? What are we doing, man? I swear the research build feels so weird. I don't know, and max build feels so bad. Max build lines up pretty well for a lot of potential KOs. I mean, research feels bad, but seeing a lot of cards is like not necessarily a bad thing, obviously. I like the idea of being able to just arm for TM Evo, but you have an idea what Rahul and Tor are playing in day 2? No clue. Yeah, Ultra Ball away the Fighting Energy. We see the Reshiram. It's not even like a question of like, the only reason like playing it the way they did would make sense is if like the active was like a Badoo. And you're like, well, I don't know what I'm up against. What is it most likely that I'm up against, right? But once you see the Reshiram, you're like, oh, let me just open up with Cornerstone and let's like force them to have an answer is what you should do. So like the Ditto goes to get Cornerstone, you attach Fighting for turn, you still Ultra Ball for Fan Rotom and get Hoot 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 Noctowl. But then you just like next turn 2, evolve to Noctowl, Crispin, start swinging with the Cornerstone and force your opponent to come up with an answer. Force your opponent to come up with an answer to the Cornerstone. I didn't even force that. Pretty poor play on the Terra box side. Very poor. Honestly, very poor play. They just kind of played terribly.